Education Act presentation, and we are now going to be talking about the 6 guiding principles of IDEA. First, I just want to share a little bit about who we are again. For those that are just tuning into this module, this is our 3rd module on IDEA. We are Parent Training and Information for the North Florida region, a program under Family Network on Disabilities. This grant is POPIN, Parents of the Panhandle Information Network, and we're funded by the U.S. Department of Education, Office of Special Education Programs. And we help families understand special education in schools. And we serve 0 to 26, so really helping families understand all points of transition throughout their child's development. What we don't do, we are not attorneys. We don't represent families. We don't give legal advice. We provide support information, and we help identify options. FND's been the statewide parent-to-parent since 1985, and we really value families getting support by networking with other families, and it's built pretty much into everything we do. We get calls from parents and family members who really just need to talk and have questions, and we're here to listen. Altogether, FND logs about 15,000 calls a year, most of them from parents and family members, but also from educators and professionals. We have a large database of resources in Florida and a library filled with disability-related information. So regardless of the question, our staff will do the research and go the extra mile to answer your question. And if we don't have the answer, we will refer you to another agency. In helping identify options, our philosophy at FND is it's not our role to tell families what to do, but to help them identify options so that they can make the best decisions for their family. The majority of our board of directors, management staff, and all our program staff are parents of family members of persons with disabilities as well. So, just to recap, the Individualized Disability Education Act was enacted by the federal government to ensure that all children with disabilities are provided with equal educational opportunity, full participation, independent living, and economic self-sufficiency. Originally adopted in 1975 and amended in 2004, the IDEA aims to curb educational problems associated with low expectations and insufficient focus on alternative research, teaching methods, and tools. So let's jump right in. The following are 6 major principles of the IDEA, focusing on students' rights and responsibilities of public schools to children with disabilities. The Act itself defines each principle and provides strict guidelines for states to follow in implementing the provisions of the law. And these 6 include a free and appropriate public education, also known as FAPE, an individualized education plan, the IEP, also referred to as individualized education program. You'll hear it referred to as both. Parent and student participation, very important. An appropriate evaluation, and least restrictive environment, or LRE, and procedural safeguards. So let's look at each one of them more closely. Zero reject, or free and appropriate public education. The zero reject principle ensures that all children receive a free and appropriate public education, no matter how severe their disability. This means a child may not be excluded because a school district feels they are too disabled to learn or has inappropriate behavior caused by their disability. FAPE, again, a free and appropriate public education, requires for special education students and should include instruction as well as other support services listed in the IEP. First and foremost, no charge to the family. It's intended to level the playing field and designed to meet the child's unique needs. Procedural violations will only result in a ruling that FAPE was denied if the violation impeded a student's right to FAPE, caused a deprivation of educational benefits, significantly impeded parents' rights to participation. The next one, parent participation, State educational agencies and local school boards must ensure that the parents of a child with a disability are members of any group that makes decisions regarding the placement and LRE, or least restrictive environment, of that child. The IDEA explicitly establishes a role for parents as equal participants and decision makers. Parents have the right to equal participation in this process and are entitled to notifications of things like a planned evaluation and involvement in all meetings regarding their child's placement. Parents can even refuse further evaluations of their child. Both students and parent must be invited to IEP meetings. So when your child is of transition age, right around age 14, they are also invited to meetings. But before a district assesses a child for disability or for the continuation of termination of services, it must present an evaluation plan to the parent and receive what's called signed consent. Until consent is obtained, a district cannot evaluate a student. To do so is a violation of the law. Once the child has been assessed and the district uses the information gained to continue, alter, or discontinue the services it provides, it must once again receive consent from the parents. When an English language learner is provided an evaluation, it should be administered in the child's native language or other mode of communication and in the form most likely to yield accurate information on what the child knows and can do academically, developmentally, and functionally, unless it is clearly not feasible to do so, to provide or administer. An appropriate evaluation. Before receiving special education services, it's required that your child have an appropriate evaluation. Assessments and other evaluation materials include those that are tailored to assess specific areas of educational need and not merely those that are designed to provide a single general intelligence quotient, so not just an IQ test. IDEA requires that all assessments be non-discriminatory and all procedures be non-biased. There must be a variety of assessment tools and strategies performed in order to have an appropriate evaluation. And again, not use any single measure or assessment as the sole criterion for determination whether a child is a child with a disability and for determining an appropriate educational program for the child. Next is the Individualized Education Plan or Program, or IEP. The IEP, or Individualized Education Plan, is a document that lays out the plan of action that will be used to ensure your child is provided a quality education. The IEP document is developed jointly by a team that consists of you, the parent, educators, specialists, really a variety of members, even those outside of the school if a parent would like to invite them to the meeting. Next, the Educational Placement and Least Restrictive Environment, also known as LRE. IDEA places a strong emphasis on placement in a general education setting. Under IDEA, a student is guaranteed placement in the least restrictive environment possible. Therefore, an IEP team must explore a number of alternatives for enabling a student to participate in the general education classroom. These may include classroom modifications, supplemental aids and services, alternative instructional methods, it can go on, etc. If an IEP determines that a student cannot be satisfactorily educated in a general education setting, then the team must make responsible efforts to determine the LRE for that student outside of the general classroom. In making placement decisions, the group looks to another important part of the IDEA, and that's the continuum of alternative placements. The continuum includes the different options where children can receive services. These options include placements such as a general education classroom, a special education classroom, a special education school at home, or in special education school or at home or in a hospital or other public or private institution. And then there's also variations where a child might be pulled out of a general education classroom to a resource room, or maybe services are pushed into the classroom. So there's a lot of different, a lot of variety of what that special education could provide for a student through the continuum of alternative placement. And last, the procedural safeguards. This document provides an overview of parental special education rights. It ensures opportunity to be a partner in educational decisions. It provides you with an understandable mode of communication, and this is your native language or other mode of communication you may be using. If your mode of communication is not a written language, the district must take steps to translate this notice orally or by other means. The district must provide you with this notice of procedural safeguards at least once per year. It must also be given to you the first time your child is referred for special education evaluation. Also, if you request an evaluation. On the date the district decides to change the placement of your student by removing the student from school for a violation, for example, of discipline policy. On the first time you or the district requests a due process hearing in a school year, or just basically upon your request. The district must ensure that you understand the content of this notice and maintain written evidence that this notice was provided to you in an understandable mode of communication, that you understood the content of this notice. As a parent, you're entitled to information about your rights under the Individuals with Disability Education Act, IDEA. These rights or procedural safeguards are intended to ensure that you have the opportunity to be a partner in the educational decision made regarding your child. And this is just an overview of your basic 6 guiding principles. There is going to be an upcoming module that will drill in deeper to the procedural safeguards, where we will I will share more of those examples and provide you with more information. So that is our short presentation on the procedural safeguards, the guidelines of IDEA, the 6. If you have any more questions, our phone number is 1-800-825-5736. My name is Kathy Powell. I'm the Program Director for POPIN, the Parents of the Panhandle Information Network, a program and family network of disabilities. Thank you for stopping by, and I hope you learned a little something today, and I look forward to sharing more modules as we continue to present on this presentation. It's a great idea. Thank you, and have a great day.